All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of At Witt's End. I'm Ken, that's Carson. He's 6,000 miles away, 9-hour difference in beautiful Upper Austria. It is Easter weekend. We are moving the Northern California studios, so we're doing a remote from the At Witt's End garden. So
A backyard.
how's the weather? How's the weather in Upper Austria?
I guess you could call it a garden, but it's a backyard.
Well, since you're in Austria, what do people call their backyards? Gardens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
going out to the
you're
garden.
not in Austria, so
True, but it's a worldwide audience we have. We're the number one Austro-American podcast. And
sure.
clarification, the only one. So today I'm
That
wearing my official coach
know of.
recruiter shirt that I know of. We haven't found anybody else. I'm wearing the JKU coaches polo in honor of your big game.
Yep. To answer your question of the weather, important
Oh, cool.
question. It's a nice day out. It was sunny, no clouds in the sky. 72 degrees in American units.
So you're
Like
basically
19, 20 Celsius. Yeah,
similar to the weather
probably a
here.
little bit warmer there, I assume.
Yeah. So everything's blooming. It's all good.
But yeah, as you can see, we're both wearing JKU stuff. I have my my hat on. You have your polo on.
I wasn't gonna wear that hat, but I decided just to go since it's nice and sunny out. But I gotta say something. I don't know if I told you this. I was playing pickleball in Waikiki and also here, and two separate guys said, "What's that hat? That's a cool hat." Just so you know, props to the merchandising department there at JKU. They like the hat. I had to explain to them what it was.
Yeah, I didn't create the logo, but I did pick the hat out, so it's a nice hat.
Yeah, it is a nice hat.
The hat I like.
Oh, getting a little breeze.
The logos tend to get a lot of love. People like the ACSL logos around the world, so
yeah, I mean, you got a pretty good
out.
following on Reddit. Yeah, I think the one that, like your brother's a fan of the Buku Bees. Then you got the robots, which I think everybody likes. So, and what else is there? The Tigers is kind of average.
Yeah, Tiger's kind of boring, but the Emperor's good one. And then the
that's
Serpents.
actually a real good one for Austria. Serpents, I don't know. Are snakes big in Austria?
Well, it's not snakes. It's a medical university, so the serpent.
Oh, the medical serpent. Okay.
Yeah, the medical symbol.
Gotcha.
So it makes a lot of sense.
Took me a while to put two and two.
I think actually if they go to like the University of Graz, the clear mascot. Maybe I don't know what the next one is. I know they've taught to like Innsbruck and as well. But if they go to Graz, Graz is famous. Like the area is mascot like Graz is the Black Panther, and like it's on their like flags and stuff. So I think that's a clear winner to be the Panthers down there. That would be a obvious choice in my mind. And they have a very clear color scheme, although it kind of overlaps with one of the other teams. But they're like forest green and white. No, forest green and white.
Oh. Oh,
so if they did just like a white with green uniform or something, that'd be pretty cool.
Innsbruck would be cool. They could be the Olympians. I don't know if that's something to do with alpine skiing. I don't know what it would be. Or the St. Bernards.
That's not very
no, I'm trying to think of something that Innsbruck would be known for. I can't think of anything, but
no.
But you guys had your big game. You put the start of the second half of the season. You're kind of in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, so we started for the first game of the second half of the season. So if you don't remember, we played one game in the fall against the Robots. Lost that game 24-21 in a close one. And but yeah, close game, and you were there, and high hopes for the team coming out of it. So
should have won that game, but past history. So, and you need to point out too that the other teams in the league actually played two games in the first half, right?
Not all of them. So the team we we played this weekend. The MedUni Serpents only played one game.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so this was kind of the catch up game for both teams to get to where everyone else was. Um, but yeah, so we going in 0-1 with a -3 point differential. And then we were playing the MedUni Serpents, who, like I said, had only played one game in the fall. I believe they played the Tigers. I want to say I can't remember exactly now. Uh,
Well, I'd assume the Tigers won that one.
yeah. The Serpents were also 0-1 going um into the spring season. So um yeah, we came in and um that was the first game of the second half for us, and um yeah, it was a big game because we actually had lost to him last year in a close game. A much different looking game as far as wasn't pouring down rain this time.
Yeah, it
We're
was
in our
sunny,
second
bit
season.
overcast.
Yep, yeah, it was a nice football weather day, so mid low 60s in American temperatures, and
I
then
don't know if I'd call it
overcast.
football weather. I'd call it a nice spring game weather. But yeah,
No,
it
no,
was
it's
nice.
football weather because it wasn't sunny, which could be a bad thing in football. It gets hot in the helmets if
Yes.
there's direct sunlight. So the clouds make it football weather.
And you need to point out too that it was live streamed, so people in the states could watch it. They got up at 7 a.m. on the West Coast.
Yeah. So it was Sunday this past or last Sunday. The what was it? Fourth? No, not fourth. Oh, that's a upcoming game. 13th or
Oh,
something
like
like that.
yeah, whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was uh, don't know what it
But
was.
it was
But
Sunday,
your Reddit
like
guys were
April
following
13th.
too.
Yeah, so a lot of the so I post on the r/CFB, which is the college football subreddit. A lot of people are on there. It's a big community, but I like to post about the ACSL stuff. And so people tend to like to see international football. It's unique, and it's also spring season for us. And there's no spring games in the NCAA, so I
Yeah,
mean, there's the practice games, but no official games. So people want their football, and they get it through different sources. So they've always asked for streams, and only the championship games are ever streamed. And this was the first regular season game streamed for us live on YouTube. So it was pretty
yeah. I mean, it
cool.
worked pretty well. It was interesting to see the chats going on uh, because there were guys. It was German, English, and then some Chinese and Japanese guys chimed in, and you had the Chinese Japanese alphabet, which I had no idea what they were saying. Yeah, unless I did a conversion online or something. But yeah, it was a good game. The cameraman needs to work on a few things, but for the first live stream, it was good. I enjoyed watching it. So did the other people I talked to who watched it. So
So speaking of the stream, so the stream is actually our game footage. I've watched it a little bit. The I don't know if you noticed at one point the two announcers were talking about me. Uh,
yeah,
they were
I was
they were
trying to figure
talking,
out what it was about. Coach
but they were
Carson, Coach
talking.
Carson.
Yeah, so early in I think it was the first quarter. They were talking about because one of the announcers is one of our JKU basketball players, and he had played football when he was younger, so he knows football. So that's why he was announcing too. Uh,
Yeah, I think I
but
know the guy.
he um he mentioned I was a bait fisherman because I he had one of the Bass Pro Shop hats. Got
You
one of
brought
those I
back.
brought back from the States. He thought I was a bait fisherman. I've worn my Bass Pro hoodie. I had to wear that all the time too. They're like, yeah, Coach Carson's bait fisherman, loves to fish, and I was like,
So nobody's
no,
invited you fishing yet? I
yeah,
don't.
yeah,
I
no
think
fishing
maybe
yet.
I won't say you owned a pole, but I know as a kid we got you a pole. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I've
you're
been
not.
fishing before, like a few times, but I'm not a
Yeah,
big fisherman or anything. I
if you're a big fisherman, you'd be all over Austria doing some fly fishing and stuff. Great fishing
Yeah,
there,
I
I
mean,
would have said.
I'm a big
That's kind of funny.
Bass Pro Shops customer. That's about it. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
one of the funny points they brought up on the streams. That's pretty good.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I I think it was the same time there was some kind of a weird call on the field that it looked like you were arguing. So your name kept popping up, and they were speaking so fast in German, it was hard for me to translate in my mind what was going on. So I didn't realize they were talking about fishing though. So now it makes sense. When you're listening to a foreign language, you're assuming some things, uh,
Yeah.
about the refs or something, and so the words they were using didn't make sense. And I was like, God, my German's gotten bad.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they were just chatting basically at that point. Which was yeah, it was pretty funny. I think they actually ended the game signing off like, "Hey, thanks for listening. We'll have you back on our
Yeah.
fishing podcast later on." So, because I guess they talked about it
Well,
a bunch.
it was funny too, and obviously I and other Americans would compare him to commentators for American football. But a few of the comments on the chat, the Reddit feed and stuff was great commentary. Really love the commentary. You guys are great. So they were doing a good job. Are they
Yeah,
drinking at the same time? Are they having a
I
few
have no
beers while they're
idea.
sitting there? Oh,
I have
yeah.
no idea.
Probably because I was up in the stands with them before. So
Yeah, I mean they were up top in the booth
yeah,
basically, but
yeah.
yeah, I have no idea what
But the
what
bar's
was going
nearby.
on. Um,
So
but
yeah,
yeah, it was pretty funny. Like uh to have that during the day to listen to that. Um,
you're
yeah, I
enjoying
think
it more because you guys won the game and it was a well coached
yeah, yeah.
game.
So well, I just spoiled the ending. We ended up
I
winning the
think
game.
everybody
Yeah,
knows. I don't think it's
16
spoiling the
to
ending.
3. Massive shout out to our kicker Moritz. 3 for 3 on field goals and 1 for 1 on PATs. So excellent job from him. He's a soccer player
I
normally and
Yeah,
does our kicking.
that's definitely an improvement over last season because last season I assumed you have a great kicking game and it was just odd. You really didn't. And so
We
when
never
the
really
first
kicked a lot, so
yeah, but the first field goal, I was gonna, it's probably not gonna make it, and I was like, wow, he made it. And obviously with the stream, it's hard to see exactly till the refs put their hands up and signify it's a field goal. So
yeah, yeah. None of them were easy either. Most of them were. I think they were all from the
they,
hashes.
yeah.
College football field wide hashes. And they weren't like chip shots either. They're from like the 20-25 yard lines.
Well, and then you also got to let people need to realize you're playing on a soccer field. It's a nice stadium field and stuff, but there's some quirks on the field with the lines and everything. Are the hash marks um, the same?
Oh yeah, college hash marks.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's a yeah. The field is because it's normally a rugby field. We kind of did a max 120 yard field length, so it's slightly shorter. So instead of 5 yards, it's like 4.5, just over 4.5
Not
yards.
small difference.
So slightly smaller in length, but full width and full hash mark width and everything. So yeah, the field is slightly off, but you get what you get in Austria, and then use what you
Were
can,
you?
line it out.
I know you're pretty stressed going in. Were you confident
No,
or
I wasn't stressed going in. I was just it is what it is. Obviously, during the game is stressful and a little frustrating. I will say like their D line is probably the best D line we've faced in the ACSL. So big
which is
shout
a
out to
good?
the Serpents D line.
Yeah, I mean that's a good indication of what's possibly to come. It's going to be tough, but I mean you pretty much got your running game down, and since their D line is one of the best in the league, that bodes well for your running game. Surprisingly, I was surprised by your passing game. Um,
Yeah, we
Pretty
didn't.
decent.
So we didn't run the ball the best. It was just a whole battle in the trenches the whole time. So that was just a constant of you know constant at war to get something going, and that's the core of our team, and so we had to keep chunking away at it. We had some timely passing, a lot of good plays by our receivers. I think we definitely have room to improve for sure on and everywhere. Um, but yeah, it was the score really shows kind of the battle that we had at least offensively. With field goals and just the one touchdown later, and we struggled down in the red zone. I think we had the right play calls and opportunities. It was just finishing those. There were some
Yeah,
situations could have done better in, but
you had
it's
nice
the way it
you
goes.
had nice long drives. You got first downs. Your third down conversions were good, but you'd get in the red zone and just kind of peter out, or a drop ball, or a sack.
Yeah, it's
Um,
hard
if you could
to
have converted one or two more in the red zone, it would have been a different, not a
yeah,
blowout, but I think
it's
a
hard
much easier
to
game for you.
be consistent. We did have very long drives, which was it's our goal to have long drives and control the game. I think in the first half we had the ball so long they may have run 10 plays on their team,
Yeah,
while we
you
had
definitely wore him.
over
You wore him
maybe
down. That
30.
was yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
In
like
fact,
it's
I thought I thought, wow, the first quarter went by so fast. I don't even think they got the ball. It just seemed
yeah,
like it.
they I think they had
You had it the
they
whole
had
first
three
quarter.
plays. We had the ball
Yeah,
for 10 minutes, I think, in the first quarter. So,
yeah, which was amazing.
um,
So
yeah, super long
shout out
drives.
to the
That's our goal is to long drives. The best defense as an offense we can put up is keeping their offense off the field, right? So, if we
did
can
did
complement our defense in a way, like that's where
yeah.
we can help them out the best.
So looking back, did like Mike or anybody on the defensive team say anything like, "Hey, I'd like to get in the game. We'd
No,
like to
no,
participate." And did
no.
the
I
did the
mean,
guys on offense say, "Hey, man, I'm tired." I did
yeah,
notice in like
that
the third quarter they had their hands on their hips a little more.
yeah, yeah.
That,
Our offense was
that said,
exhausted.
since you wore them down so much, uh, a lot of their guys were hurt constantly. I mean, there were two guys down
Yeah.
every other play, it seemed like, and it seemed like as far as guys that were hurt, it was like 5, 6 to maybe one of your guys. So I would
Yeah, I
say
mean
it's due
it
to conditioning, but I don't think so. I just think you guys are up for the game more, and your
no, I
offense
mean
and
it just comes down
strategy.
to the way like offense and defense is. Defense is a lot more high effort. You can ask this of any football team. Like if you get a long drive, even though the O line is in there every play, like the D line will get more gas than an O line, right? It's just the way football is.
Right.
So like our first drive of the game was very long, and that'll gas a defense way more than it will gas an offense. Um, and our guys after the second quarter had mentioned that when we came off the field at one point in the second quarter, they were saying, yeah, their D line is gas. Like they were out of gas in the second quarter. Midway
That's
through
when
the
you should
second
have
quarter.
had
So
your prop out there, the gas can. That would have
yeah,
been.
yeah.
So who
But
would you say was your MVP offense, MVP defense, and MVP of the game overall? Nils overall, maybe? He
I
scored the
mean,
touchdown, right?
no, like offensively is probably our kicker, right? Moritz
Oh,
most
true.
points,
Yeah.
and
Uh,
he had a stellar game.
what's his
For
your kicker though in practice? How deep has he kicked it? From what's the yardage he can do?
pretty deep, like 40-yard line.
Okay, I'm just wondering if it
He
got to be a tight
that's
game, would you have the
that's all
confidence to put
he
him in?
that's what he practices. So he's also our
Yeah,
kickoff guy. So
yeah.
um,
Your kicking game's improved dramatically since last
but
season.
what I was gonna say is like offensively we didn't have really a standout. It's kind of purposeful. So my philosophy is not only get the ball into our best players' hands, but distribute the ball to a lot of different players. Like
Yeah,
I want like we have a lot of players that can make plays in different ways, and I try to get the ball to a lot of players. I think we had 6 different ball carriers, and 5 or 6 different receivers catch a or 5 different receivers catch a football, or at least touch a football.
yeah. You even at one point you even brought in a new quarterback because the commentators got all excited. Or, huh? Sugar's out. He's bringing in somebody else. Coach Carson, what's he doing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Who'd you
trying to
bring in?
mix
Was
stuff
it
up. So
was that Nils or was that the new kid?
maybe I
Who
can
came
remember
in?
who. We had a couple
Okay.
different plays. So um, yeah, just trying to mix stuff up. But that's my philosophy as offense. Obviously focus on your playmakers, but if we have multiple guys at different spots that can make plays in different ways, we can get the ball to them. And so yeah, we had a lot of ball carriers, a lot of running backs carry the football, and a lot of receivers getting passes thrown their way. So that's my goal is to attack people in different ways and with different people. So
Yeah, and your passing game's improved. I don't know, Sugar's improved. You got some good receivers out there, but it's kind of weird. Your passing game, obviously, when you have a running game, it opens up the passing game. But it all seemed to work for this game, so hopefully that carries on.
yeah, we definitely could improve our passing game. I think we need to work on our deep ball threats, and that's a
Yeah.
big thing with our passing game that we need to improve for the upcoming games going forward.
So the
Because
next game is
that'll
what,
really open everything up.
3 weeks out? Because it's Easter break right now, and
Yeah, so two
contrary,
weeks from now, 2 weeks from this weekend.
yeah, just people know in Austria, Easter break is 2 weeks, not just like 1 week out of school. I think it's a
Yeah, so
solid
school
2 weeks.
weeks. Yeah, school is out right now, so it's basically this kind of spring break of Austria is Easter break. Especially because the semesters are slightly different scheduling.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we have a game against the Boku Bees in 2 weeks on Sunday back here in Linz. You know what's cool coming out of that game, and they put it up on the ACSL page. Um, the Astros are actually in third place right now, so um,
You sound surprised, but which, yeah,
well, second season, right? And football is a hard sport to break into. Um, but
well, especially
we're
because not just
technically
the equipment, the field, but getting guys out to play
yeah, but
in a
just to
country that's
get
not known
a
for
new team
football.
going, with teams that have been existing for a while, we're technically ahead of the champions from last year. That's the team that's in fourth place, the Emperors. Um, so
And who do you
it's a
play
big deal, and
next?
it's we play
You
the
play the
bees
Bees
next.
next.
Yeah, yeah.
What's their record?
They're at 0-2 right now, so they lost to both the Robots and Tigers in the fall. And last year they were the only team we beat, so I know they'll be looking for revenge. Um, and they're a
Yeah, but
tough
you're a
team,
much
like they're
different team than last year. Yeah.
yeah, they're also the same way. They're always a tough team. They play really tough, and um, yeah, it'll be a
Actually,
slugfest.
I think I was at that game. It was in
No,
Vienna.
I don't think so. You weren't.
That's when we bought the
You
Buku Bees hoodie.
no, that was a different game.
Well, it could be
I
confusing
mean,
because
they
when they
were.
play in
You
Vienna,
weren't.
it's a double header. Maybe they were playing
Yeah, we
that
were
day,
just at
but
a.
yeah.
They may have been playing that day, but I mean, there's you weren't at the game we played them.
Okay, gotcha.
You were only at the. You've never been to my game up until the robots game.
Um, oh yeah, because
Yeah, yeah.
I, I kept
You went to
scheduling
the
times to
opening day
come, but
game.
then they would switch your games around at the last minute, so you got
Yeah,
more of a solid schedule now. And if you make the
yeah,
playoffs, you'll be playing in Vienna in June or
yeah. In
yeah,
June. Yeah.
June. That'll be good. So any changes for the game
Yeah, it's a
plan
big game.
for
It'll
the
be
bees?
a slugfest and a challenge. So, um, I will say it's nice. I think against the Serpents we had some struggles like offensively, and so we weren't like our output wasn't point wise wasn't as high as it could have been, but it was nice to have the pickup from the defense. I think they had like 6 turnovers or something like that, 5 turnovers.
Yeah, and a few of them in the red zone. So
Yeah, some big critical ones.
I hate to say you got lucky, but you got lucky on a couple of those.
No,
They
I
screwed it
mean,
up.
yeah, defense playing
Well, you
well.
caused the fumble, yeah. I mean, you had that safety come up and make some shots, so that was
Yeah,
pretty
he ended
solid.
up with. I think he ended up with like 5 tackles, 2 fumble recoveries, and 2 interceptions. So
He might be your
very.
defensive MVP. So,
Yeah, for sure.
what about
He's
it?
had a pretty incredible game there.
Health wise? I think you have one injury. You said for sure, right?
Yeah, so a couple injuries on the defensive side and one on the offensive line. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully they'll be ready by the next game, but we're not sure. So, um, yeah, it's always a issue, but it's next man up basically, and guys got to step in and can't nothing can change. Basically, you got to keep the same pace going forward.
Yeah. Well, you're off to a good start in 2025. So hopefully, you guys make the playoffs in your second year, um, and continue on. What
Yeah,
else is going
it's
on there?
it's the goal. Not a whole lot.
What was the
Springtime is
feedback from the
starting up,
players?
so
Were they
yeah,
excited when
positive.
they got
Enough to
in
say
after the game? Yeah.
I mean, we played what a total of 7 football games, and it was second win.
Tuesday was
So in the
what
in
was
the
it?
lifetime of
Yeah,
this university.
yeah. Well, like you said, it's tough to get a football program started. So,
Yeah, so
well,
I mean, a wins
congratulations.
wins is always positive. So just gotta keep the momentum, and everyone's gotta kind of stay locked in and focus on the next game, the next opponent, next practice. Taking
Yeah.
one step at a time, basically. So
Well, hey, talking about football, new programs, college sports. I was talking with somebody recently, and he said he's heard some rumors that college football may be changing with the NIL and everything. They're talking about a super conference of 40 teams, the top 40 teams, and they're thinking that eventually the other sports will be relocated to club status, and you're going to have the top 40 teams in the country. They'll pay the players. Um, they'll have to have probably women's basketball still, and maybe men's basketball and one other women's sports for Title IX. But have you ever heard of anything like that?
no, that sounds like it's never gonna happen.
Well, who'd
Sounds
ever
like
thought
someone's
NIL
just
money would change college sports the way it has? So,
yeah, but conspiracies or just that
well, they're everywhere,
conspiracies.
but that's the first one I've really heard about college football. So,
I
if
mean,
it's
there's
all
always
about the
been
money, that's where the money's at. It's in college football.
conspiracies, but that's I mean, you can think what you want, and it is what it is. That sounds a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, it does sound ridiculous, but I don't know. Things are crazy with sports these days.
Yeah, but I mean, with like the recent NIL stuff with Nico Imalava from Tennessee, like I'm glad that their head coach Heupel just said, basically kicked him out after he was like, yeah, let's, I want this much money and everything. This
Yeah.
is kind of a joke at this point. It's not really on the players so much. I blame the NCAA more than anything because they just
Well,
kind of let it
yeah,
all go, let the floodgates open without like thinking about any of it.
the
And
consequences.
yeah, but not only that, just the how everything works, like contracts and stuff. Like it's a big deal, and there's a lot of it in stuff like the transfer windows. Like the
Portal.
transfer
Yeah.
window for college football opens up before the season's over. Like it just doesn't make any sense. It's the same for men's
Yeah.
basketball.
Stupid.
Like it's
Yeah.
just it's the most ridiculous thing. And it's not good for college sports. It'll be a detriment to college sports. Um,
I think it already is a detriment to college sports, but yeah.
it's quite interesting too though because then now you get like um what I've recently seen in the basketball, one of the best transfer players on the transfer market, and I think the number one and number two college basketball recruit has signed with BYU. So you know random teams tend to out and do that with their NIL money and sign like a
Yeah.
crazy class like BYU. I could see like
Yeah, but
a
is
TCU doing that.
the kid a Mormon?
No, no, but he's making
Oh,
a
he's
bunch of
not. Oh,
money, so
wow. Okay, that's surprising. Then
yeah, but
I
he's
didn't think
making
BYU would
millions
offer up
to
that money.
play for BYU. So, um, yeah,
I
it's
just
kind
didn't
of
think
crazy.
BYU would throw that kind of money out there. So I'm surprised
Yeah,
by
in the
that.
end, it's all about winning. So,
It's all
and then
about
you have
TV
like
contracts.
Sat State too with their massive NIL fund that they've been floating around, um, and then pushing their way into like the quote unquote Pac-10 or whatever, and having one of the top recruiting classes in the nation without
Sac
like
State?
yeah
I haven't really
yeah
been
it's
following it, so
oh
no,
they've
not at
been like
all.
the talk of the like non-power 5 teams because they have a massive NIL fund like over 30 million, and then
Really?
they've
I
also
I had no
they've also
idea.
now
I mean,
they have one of the top recruiting classes in the country because of that
I
for
got to watch the
football.
news or look it up. That's amazing to me because they still
Yeah,
haven't.
there's
I don't think they've broken ground on their new stadium or anything. I don't even know if it's
no.
been funded, quite frankly.
So yeah,
Wow,
it's
good.
Sat
I'm
State's
glad.
been going kind of crazy.
Well, good. So Sac State will have maybe a decent football season to watch. We got the A's in Sacramento. So good time
And
for sports in Sacramento.
chaos with the
Yeah.
Kings too after losing to the
Yeah.
Mavericks in the play-in.
Yeah. So yeah, crazy
Disappointing
time.
from them. I mean, they
But I
fired
think that was
their GM Monty McNair and then hired a veteran front office guy. So we'll see what happens with the Kings.
yeah. I've been kind of out of it because, as you know, we did a last minute trip to Hawaii, so that was a nice trip, get away, just sit on the beach and get sunburned.
You and
So
your random like reggae stuff.
yeah, that what was it called? The Aloha something festival. So shout out to Anthony. He builds rehabs guitars for a lot of guys on the islands, and he went with us. Guy I hadn't seen since high school, and I've been really wanting to go see a kind of a reggae concert. So this was nice, island vibes mashed with reggae. Got to meet some of the people in the band, and I've seen it before. The Hola Hola Festival. I think it comes to Vegas. It's coming to Sacramento. Um, I want to say Portland and somewhere else, maybe San Francisco. Some of the same bands we saw, we got comp tickets, but I think, somebody said something. I go, dude, the tickets are only $18 for like six bands. That's the cost of one drink in Waikiki at the hotel. And, we're more than willing to pay. So I looked up the Hola Hola Festival. It's like $200 general admission for the festival itself. And so we were lucky. It was a good time. Rained a little bit, but the weather was great. Weather was great the whole time in Hawaii. We basically laid out the whole time in Waikiki. My favorite hotel was that Moana Surf Rider right there. It's one of the smaller properties in Waikiki. It doesn't have a lot, small swimming pool, but not a lot of crowds. So really enjoyed it. Got to play
Not a
pickleball
big. I
in
don't go to Hawaii
Waikiki.
much, so I don't
Well,
really know it.
yeah, a little far for you. I'm trying to think
Yeah.
what would be the comparison for
Madeira,
Mallorca. Uh,
Madeira.
the, yeah, yeah. What's a part of Turkey?
No,
The
it's
base.
Madeira. Madeira is
Oh,
the Hawaii of
is
um,
it?
quote unquote Europe, even though it's off the Western African coast. It's
Yeah.
Portuguese. It's where
Is our
Cristiano
Keith's wife?
Ronaldo's from.
He's actually from
Yeah,
there.
yeah, he's
Oh,
from
okay.
Madeira. Yeah, yeah. He has a hotel there, and yeah, he's
Wow.
from there. Yeah,
Okay.
CR7. I've looked into let's say his hotel there. Yeah, flights aren't too bad. It's off the Western African coast, so it's quite far.
So
But
what can you?
it's
$300 round trip, maybe?
maybe even less than that. Yeah.
Really?
Um,
Right? Does Ryanair go there
I
or
think
Lauda
so.
Air?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I
I'll get a
the
vacation
crazy thing
ticket
about
maybe.
like Madeira that's much like Hawaii is the the ground, like the mountains basically like they just come
Oh, the
straight out of
canyons
the
and yeah,
yeah, they come
volcanic.
straight out of the sea, and then you have just like the ring road around the island. They're much smaller than
Yeah.
Hawaii though, so there's no like big island or anything or Honolulu or anything. It's much smaller.
I, I did find it interesting. So, they have music around out at the beachside bar. They also had a guy on piano. And so in the evenings, we'd listen to him. And then I think our second night there, it was packed and it was all senior citizens. And then we realized they weren't guests of the hotel, but some of the locals. It's like a senior singles meetup, and they were dancing. It was like going back in time. Some of the women dressed up like they would have back in the '60s. And then for like two or three nights in a row, it was packed in there. We got a lot of Aussies. So we're sitting on
Yeah.
the cabana out front in these rocking chairs, and the Aussie sits next to me. We start talking, and he's a stockbroker, financial analyst guy from Sydney.
Rough time.
And I go, what? But I go, why do so many Aussies come here? And he really didn't have an answer because he said, the beaches in Australia are great. But he said his kids did like it there. And yeah, there's kind of just this relationship between Hawaii and Australia. So that's pretty common for guys to come. And
Yeah, yeah, it makes
the surf
sense.
was nice right off of Waikiki, like 3 foot waves. So it was pretty cool. A lot of the you've seen those hydroplane boards.
Yeah,
They have that foil
the
underneath.
Zuckerberg boards.
Those were everywhere this time. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
amazed how popular they've become, and I wish I was in younger and better shape to where I could see if I could ride one, but not going to happen. Looks pretty
yeah.
intense.
Zuckerberg made him cool. Yeah, they
Zuckerberg
have like
rides one?
yeah, there's like famous videos of him riding them.
Really? Man, he's gone
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
tech nerd to the
But
bro.
he's had one of those for years now.
I can see a tech guy having it, but I mean, he's also got into what Taekwondo and weightlifting and martial arts and boxing and stuff.
Yeah.
Muy macho tech guy.
I was gonna say you were talking like those senior citizens like you weren't part of the group.
Yeah, I'm there, but they were older than me.
Yeah,
It was
man.
funny because this one
Young
woman.
age of that.
Yeah, I'm at the tail end of the baby boomers, and those people were right in there with the baby boomers. But you'd see these old guys, with their USS whatever hat on, retired Navy, just show up on their
Yeah,
own, and they start
but
dancing
not
with these widowed women,
they,
and it was kind of
they aren't
cool.
World War II hats anymore. They're Vietnam
No,
and
they're Vietnam,
Korea.
and even that's old, so it could be
Korea.
Iraq or somewhere like that. Yeah, so. Um, Kind of dating. But I
Yeah,
got a kick out of there were a couple of women that were dressed like 1940s. You could tell they spent all this time on makeup, and they didn't say much. They just get up and dance and kind of wobble back and forth. And I was like, well, good for them, living a full life in Waikiki.
all they could do.
Yeah, I did not dance. I just laid on the beach and had drinks and stuff. So good. And F1 race this weekend going on as we speak, or not as we speak, but tomorrow, Easter Sunday
Yeah, I
here.
watched qualifying. Unfortunately, Lando crashed out of qualifying in Q3, so that was a
So
little
he'll be in the
disappointing.
back.
Yeah, Max. No, he'll be P10. Max.
Who's on pole? Max?
Yeah, but a stonking good lap, crazy lap again from him.
What
Beat
about
out,
the
beat
uh,
out
the
Piastri
second
by
Red Bull
one
car?
hundredth. Piastri got second by 1/100th of a second, and then George Russell
Okay.
third by like a tenth of a second.
And Hamilton?
Like seventh, and I think Sonoda like sixth. So yeah, better from
Okay,
Sonoda.
good.
So he's learning the car a little bit more.
Yeah,
He's looking better in there because none of Matt's other teammates were keeping up that close with him this year. So
yeah,
Sonoda's done.
yeah. I think last year just, but this year's going to be interesting, especially in Vegas, because it could be anybody's shot at the championship
Right
in the
now,
end.
there's four guys within like 15
Striking
points,
distance. What
and
about team wise?
it's McLaren. McLaren's dominating, but for the drivers' championship, there's four guys within like 15 points, and that's the two McLaren drivers, Max and George Russell. George Russell's right there. He's been very
How's
consistent.
Hamilton doing?
Both Ferrari guys are not doing great.
Middle of the pack. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Anything
So
else you
we'll
want to
see what
talk
happens
about?
with them.
Yeah.
Solid one, and then yeah, we'll hopefully have another episode out before the bees game. So
Well,
look
yeah,
forward to that.
congratulations on the big win. It was, I mean, I was kind of feeling bad because the buildup with your, hand on the marketing department on social media, big game, countdown, 2 days away, 1 day away, 12 hours away. I go, wow, I hope they win this game just because of the buildup.
Yeah, everyone likes football season 2. I think they had like 600 fans.
Yeah,
Pretty solid.
yeah, yeah. And, you know, looking forward to the stream for the next game. That was a great way to watch a game and do it from
Yeah.
6,000 miles away. So good deal.
Yep.
All
Well,
right.
with that, we will end this episode here.
Cheers. Goodbye from the At Wits End Garden
Yeah.
studio. So.
See you next time.